Okay. Alrighty. We will have the continuation of the hearing for proposed zoning amendment ZC 2016-01. Who would like to speak first of my zoning compatriots?
You're up, dude.
What would you like to hear? Okay, the questions that you asked us last time.
That's a good start.
Should there be a top or a maximum? When we're doing the calculations, it's very difficult because actually it would go over, but it's around 104 decibels, 105 decibels would be a maximum one time. And that's for 1 second. And that would change everything. About who should be the claimants, we were discussing within the group that people with adjacent properties adjacent to the business
Okay.
could be the claimants.
All right.
And they would have to be landowners.
Yes.
Well, landowners
Or
are
renters.
if they're renters that
living on the
are
property.
legally on the property.
Yes.
Okay. All right, the one thing that Melanie took as a task was to contact the prosecutor's office regarding whether or not we could pass the burden of cost to the complainants for the cost of the testing, and it was pretty much a resounding no. Basically, that was what they refer to as a chilling effect on someone trying to, get this thing taken care of. Obviously, if somebody's going to complain, if they had a $2,500 bill facing them, they might not. Okay, which brings us back into the issue of if this happens, and we do go this route, we're the ones that are going to be responsible for the cost of any testing. Now, did you guys give me additional information regarding cost of testing? We were looking at roughly a $2,500 figure by the time they come out here.
That would be minimum on a 24-hour period. that would, including mobilization for these two firms I talked to, that would be the minimum cost for one 24-hour.
That would include
Day.
mobilization, getting out here, and that would be monitoring the...
Right. What's not clear is if that's enough, to support establishing it's a violation. Is one day enough? We don't know that. Okay.
Well, what we've got right now, too, I mean, with the... Okay, so you've got mobilization. Monday, they slam a tailgate. We've got a large kaboom. They come in and complain. We go down, we contact, we mobilize, we get them out here. Now, we get them set up for Wednesday, maybe Thursday, in the hopes that they slam a tailgate again. Now, if they don't, then we're not going to read anything. Now, if we were dealing with, and again, I'm using specific examples because everything we've been talking about seems to be revolving around the property, the Eclipse property adjacent to Derbyshire. And, if you had a lumber mill that was running and it was cutting wood and sawing, something you can quantify. I'm in engineering myself. My company does vibration test instrumentation for rotating equipment, fans, whatever. But it's a cyclic vibration, something that's going on all the time. Somebody comes up to me and they want to talk shock testing, I send them someplace else. It's a whole different world. And it's almost what we're looking at here in the way they're running their noises. It's more of a form of a shock than an ongoing cyclic vibration or noise that we can monitor. So these are just some thoughts that I put together and kind of wanted to put them out. I mean, we've got, and like I say, you can say what you want. The whole issue right now is around Eclipse. There aren't any other issues that I know of in the township regarding noise except that one. True. So I keep using them as an example, but the issue of how it's operating there, the type of sounds that are being generated, right now I think that's what we have to really look at to see how we're best going to handle that. And like I said, I think with going, again, just my opinion, this is a forum, this is for anybody that's got anything that they want to add to, yes, sir.
Small matter, but, you know, you're right about Eclipse, and they're also their neighbor 2 doors down, which is DW Construction. I mean, they have a variance, they don't have a, what you call it?
Conditional.
They don't have a conditional use, they got a variance. And they got in there, and we didn't, and their adjacent property in Derbyshire didn't even know that they were gonna be building. So, anyway, so we're talking about two
Okay,
construction.
so that's good information. They're both in the same district
Yeah,
and both have the same type of noise issues.
yeah, and I want to just affirm and confirm, you're right on, at $2,500 for a 24-hour period, you know, how do we do this? And, you know, without spending $10,000, $20,000 over a complaint.
BJ, I noticed as going through my paperwork, and I'm just going to throw this out there because, well, I can. This was regarding the, I have 20 different things. Okay, this is what I was showing you, Fred. You got that? That one there.
Resolution.
Now, was that is basically, who's using that one now?
Russell Township. Quite different circumstances. This is actually in a residential district. There was a social club, bar, restaurant, whatever you want to call it, where they had some music played, and it was a pre-existing nonconformity. After, I think probably a year's worth of research, that board adopted a resolution that pertains to section 505172 of the revised code. We looked at that with our assistant prosecutor, and we believe it would work in most districts in Auburn Township because we allow residential use in most districts. Even the B1, B2 areas, if it's in conjunction with a business, it also permits residential, so we think it applies here. Reworked that resolution. There's been a couple of updates since the time that they adopted it. And once we cleared this with our assistant prosecutor, we sent it to the sheriff's office. And the sheriff had a couple of rather interesting comments. Can't say he was really excited about being the enforcement factor on this at this point because of, well, first of all, the first reason he gave, I'll just read the last paragraph here. A violation of this resolution shall be a misdemeanor of the 2nd degree, which he thought was quite excessive. Fines levied and collected under this resolution shall be paid to Auburn Township General Fund. Each day a violation continues shall be considered a separate offense. Persons aggrieved by a violation of this resolution and/or the Ohio Township Board of Trustees may also seek in civil action an injunction and other appropriate relief versus the violators. He thought that was excessive, and it had been a misdemeanor. I can't remember the degree in the Russell resolution, that's probably pushing 8 or 10 years old now anyway. So the state of Ohio upped that to a 2nd degree misdemeanor. The sheriff thought that was excessive. His other question, which I think, and this conversation all took place on Friday, and obviously it's a holiday today, so there really wasn't any follow-up after the initial back and forth. Let me find the start of that sentence because it's a long one. In determining whether noise would disturb a reasonable person of ordinary sensibilities in the area of the noise, a court shall consider A, complaints of neighbors regarding the noise, B, intensity and duration of the noise, C, the type of noise produced, D, the alternate alternative method, means available without excessive noise, and E, the time of day at which the noise occurred. All those, I think, are pretty important factors when you're talking about noise. You're mowing the lawn at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, you shouldn't be running a chainsaw at 4 a.m. I personally thought that was a pretty effective sentence, but then the sheriff's issue with it starts here. It shall be a prima facie violation of this resolution when the noise can be clearly heard at a distance of 100 feet or more from the property from which this noise emanates. Now, there's some back and forth between the sheriff and our assistant prosecutor on, is that the property line? Is that the right of way at the edge of the property? Where is it? And as I said, there really wasn't a whole lot of follow-up after the initial comments from the sheriff. Something we can certainly work on, and I intend to.
But again, these would be potential tweaks, but it's a whole different mechanism of looking at it versus quantifying, having to have experts come in.
This would be.
I don't think you need to have an expert come in because, you know, these sound meters are relatively inexpensive. I could bring one of my colleagues to train Frank and get him qualified on the device. And if he can be the...
Now, are we talking recording devices that'll record the thing over a period of time?
Yes, it's got a monitor on it, and you can hook it into a laptop and have it record over that time period.
For how long?
It could record 24 hours, could record as long as the battery.
2 weeks, 3 weeks?
You could have it continually put the battery on it. I mean, and then he can come out and check it and make sure that it's functioning. And then he could be the person that helps to decide was it a violation or not, or suggest it's a violation. Because this is the thing about it. It is measurable. It's like a property line, you know. If somebody's over my property line, I can measure it. And the sound is the same way. And when you're talking about 100 feet away, the calculations for sound is a inverse of the radius of the distance. So if you want to calculate, so if the noise, so 10 feet from the noise, if you measure, say, it's 150 decibels, right? We just go crazy. Mm-hmm. And then every doubling of the distance from that 10 feet, so the 20 feet, it'll go down by 6 decibels. 40 feet, another 6 decibels, and so forth and so on. So you can actually figure it out.
I mean, we have to pick a spot, whether it be at the property line, and I think the property line is the most quantifiable area.
And then you can actually go and calculate based upon the noise levels we set up, what's the maximum amount of noise, you know, for an 8-hour period based upon how a piece of property is designed. For example, if you've got workshop in the back.
If we're doing recording over a period of time like that, and we have the capability to do it, then we can institute peak as well as average.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll just give us 2 potential ways to analyze it. Yes, sir.
Does a violation have to be over a period of time, or is it an incident?
Well, that's what we're talking about now.
We're talking about either peak
Because-
or average.
That was the issue of we were just talking about
We're
average.
in the woods of Auburn Lakes, and we're near Queensway,
Mhm.
and there's occasionally noise. I mean, it can wake us. Sometimes it sounds like drag racing. I mean, I don't know what it is. I haven't gone over the hill. But I'm here to just try to see what people are discussing, whether it has to be an 8-hour period or
Well,
a 2-week
like I
period,
said,
or
that is-
something that wakes you up, like jumps out of bed and like, what was that?
Well, again, that's what we were just discussing now. But there's two options to do this. Either way, we're looking at recording the sound levels over a period of time. And then there's 2 ways to look at it. One is, as he said, what we were looking at mostly is average. What is the average sound over that period of time? So if you have a spike, if the spike isn't big enough, it wouldn't affect the average. If you have a peak measurement, then the peak measurement would have the spiking. And what we're looking at is possibly having, if we're able to do this over time, we may have both. That you either have a violation of average or a single incident of violation of peak. So, yeah, there's a lot to this. This is like the
Sure.
third week of discussing this.
That's
so.
why I'm interested.
I
Yeah.
think, you know, a summary would have been nice, maybe at the beginning, to see where you were
Well-
in this process, but thank you.
I don't think we're gonna finish it up tonight, so we'll probably still have some more chances here. But any questions you have, yeah, bring them up.
Okay.
And just like I said, well, what you're talking about is the single thing. In your particular instance, yes, you would want some type of peak measurement to cover that.
But I
Unless
have,
it was loud enough, then we could average it in over the average, but,
but I'd have to get equipment out there
The same as you.
at some point and say, okay, I heard this yesterday, now heaven knows when it's gonna happen again. But
Exactly.
it woke me up at 6 in the morning. When's it?
you're absolutely
And
correct.
a
And that-
reasonable person to hear a reasonable amount of noise, you know,
Yeah, if you have, well, you have two kids drag racing down the street.
There's already
they
a law,
wake you up.
there's already a law against drag racing.
well, that, yeah.
And
But
that's
it-
exactly what I hear is what's going on there. And sheriff has been called, not by this office, but by.
So you actually know part of it.
I don't know much, I just know what I heard.
I
started
understand it's-
checking into it.
So the
Someone
problem
there
you're
does
having
work
is
on
not so much,
race
would be a noise issue with our zoning,
Well, sometimes
as much
there
as
is
it's illegal
equipment,
activity that's occurring.
a little of both.
Okay, and that, now the drag racing itself, that is monitored by the sheriff and state law, so,
A phone call to him would be, probably.
Yeah, I
he's
can
probably-
assure you, if the sheriff catches a couple guys drag racing, probably gonna get a ticket for that and probably not for a noise violation. Maybe both, I don't know.
yeah, if they had the opportunity.
Yeah,
wouldn't they?
relatively, that's what happens, is these are add-ons to some other illegal or, nuisance activity. That's, per.
And how
county
often
officials.
do you hear something like this? Is it something typically on a weekend?
On the weekends, once a month, sometimes, but during the week, there is machinery noise going on. I realize they're in business, I'm not trying to stifle them. I'm just trying to see what the limits are and what we could,
Well, right now, this particular resolution we're looking at is the business district, and you're adjacent to the industrial district.
so that's the
Okay.
difference.
So that would be, and right now, we have nothing for the industrial district, or nothing on the books for it,
Okay,
Okay.
I believe. Right.
Yeah, it's business and industry.
Industry
residents.
against residents.
Yeah, against residents, yeah.
It's not residents to residents, but it's, because what happened over
Well,
with this
are you gonna-
incident over here, it was zoned commercial,
It's
but,
5-1.
right, and then allowances were made to allow
So this
industry to
applies
come in.
to
Yes,
business,
and
industrial,
industry,
B1, B2,
Yes.
B,
Yeah,
vitamin B12, all of them. Okay, anything that is adjacent to a residential district.
okay.
In their open space.
and the thing about what's going on in Russell, I mean, I've heard it in zoning about we don't want the residents beating each other up with anything that we put together. But that is what's happening over in Russell. The residents are calling on each other, and if you read the Chagrin Valley Blotter, you'll see that they're calling they're calling the police for dogs barking,
That's
target
straight
shooting.
residential, by
Yeah,
having the straight
target
residential.
shooting, all that stuff. It's kind of a mess.
It can be, and
It is a
as
mess
far
for
as,
them.
with, the potential of this amendment, that can be used in the same fashion.
Well, it's only business to residents. I mean,
Yeah, I would think, it would be used in the same fashion, but the burden of the enforcement of that falls to the township versus the Russell thing. If they're, and I know they're doing, I don't think they're doing it through their zoning, I think they're doing it through that
Their police department.
5172.
They are.
Yeah, that's the burden of enforcing that falls to the police department, where in this township it would fall to the sheriff. It's not an apples to apples thing, really.
Mm.
but I think it's an issue of, first of all, how a resident would have to elevate the situation, to the township, and does the township act as a mediator between the resident and that business before it goes
I
and
think
it's
we always
elevated?
attempt to do that. Yeah, I know we have with AWD, and I know we have with Eclipse. Are we always successful? No, sometimes we are. I think AWD is act a little bit more professionally. Maybe than they did.
From the
at this-
beginning,
than they
yeah.
did
From the
this-
beginning.
After we got past the beginning.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
If Eclipse was as cooperative as AWD,
Like I said, sometimes we're successful that way and sometimes we're not. It's,
Yeah, this equipment you're talking about that does the recording,
Yes.
does it have to be tied to a computer?
You can download it onto a computer later on, onto a laptop.
So it's like basically a data collection device?
Yes.
Is it totally watertight and everything else where it can just be left out in the elements and
Yes.
you come and download it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Any calibration involved in those? Standardization?
They're usually pre-calibrated from the factory, and then after a certain amount of time, they tell you to send it back for recalibration.
Okay, what's the price on something like that?
It's a whole range of prices depending upon the
Well, I'm saying, what's the cheapest thing we can get that will do what we need to do?
$14.
Huh?
Amazon. $14 on Amazon.
Okay? Something that would
But
be, something that would be believable when they calibrated it and we took it to court.
Probably about $700-800.
Okay, that's not unreasonable.
No.
Now we've got our window.
can I ask that you get us some readout or sheet that you can print off of Amazon as to what that is?
I can actually go to the manufacturer and get it for you.
Okay,
Yeah,
I appreciate
information.
that, because, you know, we did, you guys gave us the list of monitoring services, and I don't know if I have.
Okay, do you have access to one of these
I
bad
did
boys?
chase them.
Yeah, I was actually called a friend of mine to come over here, but he had some other things to do. He has his own company. in
Could
Michigan.
we, just as a test, go to one of the adjacent properties and run a time sample?
Yeah.
Just to see what kind of levels we're looking at. Any volunteers here to use their property? There you go. I think, okay, now that's giving us a possibility. If we can do that, the equipment's reasonable. And like I said, yeah, I don't think if we download it and you're downloading it into a program, it's not that hard to do.
That's just the data logger. I mean,
Yeah, we do the same thing with
it
vibration.
goes up to an Excel and then you have.
Yeah. Okay. All right, would you take that as an action then, to try to do this so we can actually take a look at it, just to see what we're really looking at?
Yep.
I think this will give us a really good
Set
idea of
something like
what, I mean, because you may come up with then we'll take a look at that, whatever you come up with your sample time, and maybe then your next meeting or whatever you have the information available, evaluate it against the proposal as it sits, and then right off the bat we'll say, well, we did it, we tried it, we got the proposal, and you know what? It didn't do you any good whatsoever. Okay? And, you know, that's what we're trying to come up with is what's gonna work for us. I feel good about that. That was actual, moving in the right direction.
10-second aside, I don't know, Friday, Saturday, there was an explosion right at midnight, and it was so loud.
Was it that late? I thought it was 10 p.m.
No, it was about midnight, and we couldn't even tell where it originated from.
Yeah, it was really long.
I mean, the sound of it.
We heard it at like 4:30 in the afternoon,
Oh, yeah, I heard.
yesterday.
Can you tell me where this is? Where you're hearing?
Where might this,
I'm on Messenger.
On Messenger, okay.
So between Messenger and 44, you can hear quite a bit of stuff.
That's where they
Okay.
are.
because we hear explosions behind us, they sound like cannonballs going off.
People
And
will be like, that sound like target shooting because they're doing it so rapidly.
This sounded like dynamite that went off.
and then after
And then
that,
they put out an
No,
explosion.
No, this is
Mike,
dynamite.
you wanna tell them about exploding targets?
That is, yeah.
Anyway.
Really?
so-
That's
what is
what
that?
people do. They got these nifty exploding targets, and they use them for target practice, and they blow up, and it's cool.
Yep.
Oh,
Kind of right.
Huh?
is that what it is?
Yes.
So,
And that's acceptable in this frame?
no, but you know, again, I don't know if, you know, Eclipse is blowing things up, or if it's somebody that's just on their property.
Somebody out in the woods somewhere.
Somebody out in the woods somewhere that's
Target.
adjacent to it, so.
They are impressive.
I mean, didn't we have a problem with somebody was blowing them up in a lake over here for a while?
No, that was an official Cuyahoga County Sheriff thing where they
were blowing
blew up a
things
bunch
up.
of stuff here that they found in
Okay.
Shaker Lakes. Yep.
Well, again, you know, it's
So we're
like,
not crazy hearing this noise, this is something that you know about.
Yes, I mean, this is,
I don't know where it's going.
No, not where it's coming from,
it's-
but this is,
yeah, this is something that's been going on for a while.
Yeah, it's apparently
It's
legal.
like, I get complaints all the time about gunfire.
forgive me, moving out here from the inner city.
Not quite
Well, there
inner
should be
city.
less gunfire here than there was in the inner city.
Solon is not inner city, dear.
It is.
At least they're not coming through the side of your car. Just a little noisier.
Okay.
But we have, I've got neighbors who have guns and they shoot on a regular basis.
But this six.
And one of my neighbors called on my other neighbor, and then the sheriff came over and said, "Are you shooting guns back here?" "Yes, we are." "Oh, okay, well, somebody complained and we had to come out and look at it, but there's actually no law against you firing firearms in your yard anytime you want." So yeah, the sheriff comes out, and they will come out because somebody called them, but they can't do anything about it.
No.
So it's kind of
But if the explosion reaches a certain decibel beyond which an average person would think was comfortable, especially if they were trying to rest or were sick, I mean, at what point is it excessive? I don't know. It's just a thought, I mean.
I think at 4 o'clock in the morning when it makes you jump out of your bed, that's probably pretty excessive.
And then there's identifying it,
Then you have to identify, sure.
Yeah, like I said, it's different if, like I said, you've got, it's something, noise that's coming from a specific industry, and it's some byproduct of what they're doing. Well, like I said, now what we're doing is we're trying to trace down hooligans.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They're harder. Well, not as hard now, because one of them just came in, but. Okay, so the action we've got coming out of this so far is, let's test it and see how it works. And if you can, you're the expert, make a recommendation on what you feel would be a proper piece of equipment.
Okay.
What we're looking at is, you were here to bitch about it, so too bad. No, what we're looking at is basically a recording device. You take it out there, you leave there, records all the stuff, we download it into the computer. The computer does the analysis, so it's all pretty much automatic. You don't have to decide anything or anything else, just somebody will plug it in and run the report.
And we might get a free test run.
Yeah. And he's gonna try to get
Great.
a thing, do a test sample. A volunteer property owner here, and then we're gonna take a look at those sounds versus the proposed resolution and see whether or not it's actually gonna work, so
Well,
it's kind of a live test.
let me share something with everybody in this room. Regardless of what the outcome is, because of a clause in your zoning resolution, we may not be able to enforce any noise regulation in that area, period. So there is a clause called the grandfather clause in our resolution. And I brought this up to the commission many times that we need to look at this. But when Mr. Wheeler went in there was no noise ordinance, period. He met the zoning at the time of the change, and everybody keeps saying that that's a residentially zoned district. It is today, but it wasn't until we changed it to B1A. It used to be B1, and that use is a permitted use in a B1 district. Therefore, it met the zoning at the time of the change. Therefore, it is grandfathered. So we got to tread lightly what we do here, because we may be in a courtroom.
No, because if
When he sold, that the grandfather clause ended.
No. Grandfather clause goes with the land, not with in the district, and what's permitted in the district. Believe me, I have checked this out repeatedly.
Well, we're going to research this, aren't we?
Yep.
Like I said, everybody's shaking their head, nope. Research and find out where it tells me, because yeah, grandfathering is an issue.
Well,
Now, specifically, it's like, the patio, that property's changed hands, right? Okay, so not the original owner. It's been, but however, that property is still grandfathered in for that use. So that's the only example I could think of, but that would be pretty, if this follows suit, then it should be the same thing for the Wheeler property.
Well, that's the most clear example, because it's,
Right.
you know, so it's the only bar in the residential zone.
Well, it doesn't make it easier.
But, you know, it's pre-existing non-conforming, it's just like Frank's describing the Wheeler, former Wheeler property.
But I think when they did transfer that property, there was some agreements on conditional use, that every year Frank had to meet with them and make sure that they were,
I looked at that, I looked at the conditions on that property, and there was nothing regarding sound.
no, there was nothing on sound.
So, yeah, there were other issues which I believe they're
That's a retail
keeping up
district
with.
too.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's retail.
Right.
Even though, and this is a legal question that you may not be able to answer, because I agree with what you said, there's nothing on paper about sound, although under testimony, audible, video, it was agreed that the sound wouldn't exceed. So, under oath, it's recorded.
So you're saying that's a matter of record from the original
Yes.
case?
It is.
Yeah?
It is.
Okay, well, that's if it came down to it, I mean, that'd be something that would be, again, all this stuff, now that we're talking about these little bits and pieces, if it comes down to it, ends up in court, and the judge makes the final decision, he utilizes all that information. But that's a good bit of information to have, thank you. Okay, we're making a lot of progress here.
Yeah, well,
Either that or we're digressing, I'm not sure, but we're getting something done.
I'm all in favor of doing this test drive here and see how
Yeah.
this turns out. And, you know, for the commission folks here, we've worked with a couple different prosecutors on this one to date, and I think how I would sum it up is they're urging us to be, urging restraint, because this is going to be difficult to enforce. Yeah, I can't overemphasize that's what we're being told.
Yeah, I mean, if this was an easy issue, every township would already have one of these and be done, and we'd just be copying somebody else's. But again, with, everybody's been, you're right, treading lightly on this, and,
I have a question, PJ. I heard what you said, I don't disagree with you. The question I have is, if you got data, and it's right on paper,
Affordable data, that's important, what we heard tonight.
Right, not
Yeah.
the $14 one, but, what you're saying, what I'm hearing, my interpretation is that is going to be questionable, or the judge, who knows what.
I think affordability is an issue here. We're hiring out, and like I said, I don't have my list
Yeah.
of vendors that I had last
Okay.
public hearing. But it was minimum 2,500 for a day's monitoring. I doubt that's enough.
Yeah,
So affordability becomes a problem there if you're doing this for 2 weeks.
yeah.
and like I said, he's come up with a solution to the
A
affordability.
possible solution, yes.
Possible
Yeah.
solution.
Would that be admissible in court?
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't even know.
But now we're gonna find
Yeah,
out.
we don't know if that outside
So we'll
expert
tread
is going to
lightly.
be admissible. We wouldn't know that either. That's like I said, they're telling us, slow down, So,
Okay.
I'd be real curious what you come up with if we can do this for, 4 days, 3 days, 5 days? What is the range that's out there? How obnoxious are these sounds?
Yeah, I think this is gonna give us a feel for, the actual nature of the problem, and
I agree.
The nature of the sound essentially sounds like, we'll just say start springtime, the real springtime, come March maybe.
Close to the fake one that we're having right now.
Right.
Oh, you don't think this?
no, winter's over, this is spring, we're done. Just because you're a pessimist.
I wouldn't go that far,
No,
I'd go
what you said.
fine.
It essentially sounds like an ongoing construction site. That's what it something. So, whatever that means.
No, like I said, I look forward to putting some numbers on it and
Yeah,
see
yeah.
where we are. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, well, you know, we're obviously gonna have another continuation, which, again, will probably be a month off. So, I think the closer closer you get to spring where things start actually moving in, where you can see the real thing, I mean, or do we wanna postpone this for 2 months so that we can actually,
Yeah,
I go too.
I'd go
I
too.
go to too.
okay, because that'll take us out into April, and I think they'll give us a more reasonable.
Early April, we can do something.
Okay. Meetings in April,
This is not, by the way, I just want to add for folks that are maybe first time at a meeting, this is not the first time we've had extended public hearings on a zoning issue. We did this with the riparian setbacks for the better part of a year. That was such a significant, well, it could be looked at as a taking of property because we zoned outside of floodplains. You know, we made some changes that were, I think they're effective, and I think they seem to be working, but it took some property that had been previously buildable and made it no longer buildable. And we left that open for anybody with interest to come comment. So this is not out of the ordinary, or out
The
of unusual.
second meeting in April will be on the 17th. Monday the 17th at 6:30.
I can tell you for commission folks that are here, I don't, my thought would be along your lines, is that admissible, would that be substantive evidence in court? I don't think we can ask that of our prosecutor's office, because nobody knows. That seems to be the thing we've been hearing all the time.
Yeah, we're doing the cutting edge stuff
Nobody
here.
knows.
Well, I'd hope that the data could be used to convince both parties, you know, to work together in a way where, you know,
Exactly.
control the noise levels.
Or where we
during
can get to
certain
that point.
Work, you know.
But you
Well,
know,
at
I
this point, it
mean,
would start with two people, and that's Carolyn Paschke and Forrest Burt. Would they consider this to be admissible? No.
If it goes that far.
If it goes that far, yes. Yeah.
but see, the nice thing now, if we get this testing done and we have everything, now we've got something I think we could take maybe to the county and to say, hey, guys, you know, you've been kind of against this stuff, but this is what we've got. Give them some information, give them something to look at. And they might be more supportive then of, you know, this type of resolution in the future. Yeah, well, like I said, we're treading some new ground here. Okay. Any other comments, questions?
Could we go to the first meeting in May?
Sure.
Okay.
You guys feel that would be,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you guys are the ones doing the testing, let me know what you need. You wanna go to May? I'm gonna go to the middle of May too.
Yeah, maybe the first meeting in May.
First meeting in May?
What's the deadline?
Yeah.
We need to do a motion too, right?
Yeah, we'll need to do a motion, but I'm just, this is more just negotiating. Well, the first meeting in May is Monday the 1st. Did that buy you much, or do you want to go to the second one?
Maybe.
What's the second? Go to the second one.
Second one.
The second one's the 15th.
All right.
I think so.
He felt pretty good about the 1st until it was the 5th.
It could be a Cinco de Mayo party there.
All right, and there were no further comments tonight. Certainly, if you guys think of something, and the commission or anybody else in between, give us a call. We're doing our, I suppose, due diligence on this. If there's no other comment, I'll make a motion that we continue this to 6:30 on May 15th.
Yep,
Okay.
I'll second. Okay, Jim?
Yes.
Mike? Yes. Okay.
We got about a
15
15-minute break.